This is the Business Growth Hacks Podcast, presented by Beefy Marketing. Here's your host, Andrew Brockenbush.
What is going on, everybody out there? Welcome back to another episode of the Business Growth Hacks Podcast. Andrew couldn't join us today, but that's all right because we have such an amazing guest. I think I'm just going to give her the floor and let her tell us everything about Google Ads that we want to know today. But before we get into that, I got to let you know about our episode sponsor, Wingman. Wingman is your all-in-one marketing, sales, and automation software that helps you streamline your communication and grow your business, which is what we're all about here. You can check them out at trustyourwingman.com. But first things first, we have to tackle the hard issues and ask the hard questions. So we're going to get in there with an icebreaker. Today's icebreaker is, what is a memorable advertisement that you remember seeing?
Oof.
I can go first if you'd like.
Okay.
All right. Because I had this one queued up because I wrote the question, so I get to cheat a little bit. So this advertisement, I don't know if it's the best advertisement because I've been looking all morning trying to figure out what it was actually for, and I can't find it. I've even looked through old magazines. I think it was in a Popular Science magazine, but I haven't found it yet. But it was a kid on a bike wearing a blue shirt with white letters that said, "I love the simplicity of this game. Bring me your finest meats and cheeses." And it was just hilarious to me, but maybe it wasn't the best advertisement because I can't remember what the product was, but it was a very iconic image.
Gave you that emotional impact, huh?
Exactly. I think it was just something crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what I really like these days is the Chrome commercials where they they cut from person to person and everyone's looking at their screen, like their faces are dipped way in. And everyone's all, what are they doing? And then they're like, we remember your passwords for you because you can't, you know?
Yeah. That's a good one.
It's a crack up because everyone has that moment where like, they're like, what's your password? I'm like, ooh.
I don't know. I put my fingerprint on it and it opens. I've put my password in 6 months. Yeah, that's a good one. That's definitely memorable. I love a good memorable advertisement. You know, just there's so many good ones out there. Everybody's trying to be catchy and memorable. So
I like the ones that tap into happiness.
Yes. I do too. Those are fun. All righty. Well, today, you've already talked to her a little bit. We've already heard from her. We've heard that she has great insights on the tough issues. But now let me tell you a little bit about her. We have an exceptional guest. Her name is Sharon Park, and she founded Sage Digi in 2018 to revolutionize businesses with transparency and technology, two things that I care a lot about. Her mission is to provide smaller business owners with solid technology advisory services for their online advertisement programs, your Google Ads. With 15 years of experience in advertising, including working at Google, so listen to what she says today, people. Sharon has led strategies for major brands, and she's even produced remarkable returns, seeing a 22-1 return on ad spend. She's set a new standard in online marketing campaigns, so I'm really excited to talk to you today. And her passion for helping entrepreneurs, it stems from her family's small business background, something else we care about here on Business Growth Hacks. And so join us today as we go on Sharon's transformative journey and gain valuable insights from her expertise. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you for having me on your show. What an honor.
Absolutely. I enjoy so much just talking to business owners each week and marketers and just hashing out the tactics. And, you know, I learn a lot, and I like to think that our guests and our audience learns a lot every single week. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I think that business owners are the cornerstone of our economy, small business owners.
Yeah.
And we lay it all on the line to create jobs.
Yeah.
We have, you know what it's like to carry payroll on your shoulders. And so anything I could do to help create some economic value, I hope to do it during this next half hour.
Awesome. That sounds great. So I see you kind of got the entrepreneurial bug from your family there. What kind of business did your family run growing up?
Oh my gosh, what didn't we run?
Oh man.
So my sister and I, we were those kids with like lemonade and carrot cake and whatever on the street. But my mother is a registered nurse.
Okay.
She was a nurse for 30 years before she retired. And she started, at a certain point, she left the hospital setting and she started an infant daycare.
Oh, nice.
Which was, I mean, what mother wouldn't trust a registered nurse with their baby?
Yeah, exactly.
So she would just do amazing things for the moms, like write out like detailed medical reports for the baby. Like your baby had X cc's of water today or milk or whatever. And like the poop quality was excellent. Like that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Stuff that nurses think about.
Hey, that's stuff you kind of want to know, right?
Oh, she had a waiting list out the door for her business within months of starting it. My father had a consulting company. He's an engineer.
Oh,
He's a hardware engineer turned software engineer. And they worked on like 3G kind of technology, but in the late 90s.
I was going to say back before it was even out, I'm sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So kind of well-rounded there. So yeah, you kind of just naturally got into entrepreneurship there, it seems, because that was the example before you. That's awesome. Are any of those businesses still running? Except your lemonade stand, of course. I'm sure you still got that going. Oh,
we always have a side hustle going. My mother's, both my parents are retired. My sister owns a sushi restaurant.
Oh, nice.
And my brother's a financial advisor. So we're still on the hustle.
Yeah, I love it. Small business is the backbone of America is one of the taglines in our other show, Small Business Origins. And in that one, we more so just talk about the business owner and their origin story, how they kind of became an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like to start this show out with a little bit of that, just so we kind of know who you are and where you came.
Sure. Yeah.
So how did you get into managing ad campaigns from that background?
You know, the job that I do did not exist when I was in college.
No.
In college, I studied violin performance and history. So I was in graduate school studying history. I was a major in Civil War history. And I needed to take a break from school. Just too many hours with my nose in a book. And my friend there, he was such a nice guy, Rob Rakoff. What a loving person. He said, why don't you try getting a job for a year, take a break from school, and then come back?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try that. And so he introduced me to someone who was at that time head of HR at Google.
Okay.
And he's like, it's not going to be a great job. I mean, you're going to answer an 866 hotline all day long, but they're nice. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll try it.
Yeah.
And so that was 2006. They interviewed me about all kinds of things, like what is great customer service. Working at my sister's sushi restaurant, you know, I knew a couple of things about customer service, and they let me have a job answering the 866 hotline for Google ads. That's how it started.
Wow. That's awesome.
But, you know,
the fact that you started answering a phone for Google is amazing to me.
Oh, we were tap dancing on that phone too. Well, I was tap dancing. There were so many smart people there at that time, and it was very intimidating. So I studied as hard as I could to learn about advertising and just learned on the job.
Nice. Have you ever seen the movie The Internship?
Yeah, it's totally true.
Is it like that? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. I love that movie, so I would hope it would be something like that.
I mean, imagine being like, you know, a poor kid and coming out of grad school, so I have nothing but debt, you know, and then going to Google, $1 billion, now $1 trillion company.
Right.
And, you know, just my mind is totally blown.
What is happening here?
Yeah.
This life,
They're hiring 400 people every Monday.
That's crazy.
Back then.
Wow. So I know you kind of told us a little bit, but what was it like working for Google? Is it the experience that, you know, the dream job that everybody thinks it was?
What a gift. Yeah. It's a total gift. And there's hardships there too. For sure, just any job. But really the gift is in rubbing elbows with the caliber of people that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world in that concentration.
Okay.
Like the woman on my right was an Olympic sprinter. And the woman on my left, I mean, I think she was an MD. My manager was an attorney turned into, I think he worked for the president's office.
Oh, wow.
But my manager was he worked for the State Department, but then he became a manager of the 866 hotline.
Wow.
But people were there because there was something magical to experience. But the level of imposter syndrome was also huge.
I can see that because, I feel that myself these days just posting on social. So, when you're in actual circles where people have really accomplished stuff that you look up to, you really feel inferior. And that imposter syndrome can take over real quick. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of glad you brought that up because that is a thing that we don't talk about that much, especially as small business owners and doing your own marketing and you're looking at some bigger companies for milestones or, guidelines. And you may think, oh, I can never do that. But maybe you don't need to do that. You got to stay specific to your business.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. So when was that transition? I know you worked some other places as well, I believe. So when did you actually get into starting Sage Digi? How did that transition?
What a gift. It's a story I don't tell often, but sometimes, so I'm in Santa Cruz. We have like a lot of like woo woo going on here. That's a part of our culture. Okay. So we talk about the universe and the gifts of the universe a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm not from that background. I'm from like a Korean immigrant background where like work hard and, work hard, save money. But I had dreams of quitting my job. I was so tired, mainly from commuting. Right. It was an El Nino year. I was sitting on a bus 3.5 hours a day trying to get over the hill to Google. Mm-hmm. And I had a terrible injury, a neck injury from surfing. And I was just like, I can't work anymore. I'm so tired. Mm-hmm. And so I had a dream about quitting and I was working up my nerve to do it.
Okay.
The next day, my boss was like, oh, are we going to have that 9:00 meeting? And I was like, yeah, that's strange. But yes, of course. So we have a meeting and he was like, oh, while you were out, there was a reorg and your position was eliminated.
Oh, so now I have to do something else.
But my first reaction was to cry. I was crying like a little girl because I'm like, oh my gosh, they don't love me. They don't care about me. Those kinds of feelings. Yeah. But then they're like, but you will be, there's two roads. One is you could apply for another job. We'll give you 2 months to look internally for another job, which is a long amount of time.
Yeah.
Or the other road is you get some severance for every year you've been at Google, which at that time was 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So I like dried my eyes and I was like, well, how many dollars is that?
Right.
And so I got, that severance check, unused vacation time, all of that. There was a check at my front door for all my unused vacation time on my last day of work. Like that's how tight their operations are.
Yeah, they're ready.
And like I was going to quit anyway. What a sign. What a sign that it's time. And now I have like a safety blanket to do it with. Mm-hmm. A lot of people I know went to MBA school. It just wasn't for me. I think I've had enough school. So, but they invested like $100,000 into themselves to further their careers. So I'm like, I'm going to invest $100,000 in myself and start a business.
That's awesome. I love that you gambled on yourself like that because so often we're afraid to do that. I think I commend you.
Thank you. But I wasn't even swinging for the fences at that time. Right. I was like, I'm just going to see what's up. I'm probably going to fail. So when the money gets short, I'll just start applying to other jobs. Mm-hmm. But it never happened.
That's awesome. It just kept growing from there.
Yeah.
Wow. So through all that time, you're developing different systems. And I know even the way that Google operates has changed a little bit, and especially in the past 5 years. But how did you stay up to date with all those changes and develop strategies when you were, beyond Google, when you had moved into Sage?
That's a great question. I study all of the news updates that come out of the business. So we also advertise on LinkedIn, Meta, and whatnot. We read a lot about in search engine land, whatever's new. I talk to a lot of industry people on what are they trying. Fundamentally, though, Google AdWords hasn't changed that much.
Right.
There are a lot of new bells and whistles. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of betas to always be testing, but the fundamental search aspect is still there. So, but yeah, it's good to always test the new features. Like this time last year, they're rolling out their Performance Max campaigns. Mm-hmm. So we put it to the test. Initially, it was a bit wobbly.
Yeah.
But now it's doing much better. So it's always good to test the new tech. Right now, the conversation's all about generative AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched their keynote about it. I have my Bard and my OpenAI side by side. I ask them the same questions.
Yeah, to see
to see how different they are. There was a time when Bard, Google's AI, was giving out competitors' ad spend.
Oh, wow.
And then they buttoned it up really quickly.
Well, I bet someone probably gave them a call on that one. Don't tell people that. Yeah. That's fun. Okay. Yeah. I figured that would be the answer, because that's usually the only answer to a question like that. Is the only way to stay up to date is to read. And so if you're out there listening today, you're going to have to read or probably watch a video. It's probably in video content by now.
And the customers teach us too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'll say, I heard this, or we want to test this. Do you want to try it?
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's get into a little bit more about Google Ads. And I guess let's start from the beginning. How do you set it up the right way?
Okay. Fundamentally, okay, I got to just start from the very beginning. It's super important. There's a man named Hal Varian.
Okay.
And if you're listening, it's worth Googling him, Hal Varian.
Hal Varian.
He is the chief economist of Google.
Okay.
And he designed an auction to reward people who build ads the right way. And there is only one right way, which is to make sure that the search term that someone's looking for, your keyword, is in the ad copy. That term is also in your URL. It's featured prominently on your landing page, and your landing page is good. You can't have like a 98% bounce rate on that landing page. No. There needs to be some value delivered there. So when people get there, they'll hang out for like 20, 30 seconds. And when you do that the right way, you create this virtuous cycle. You get a lot of Google Brownie points, also known as quality score.
Okay.
The higher your quality score, the less you have to pay per click.
Nice. Okay.
So, that relevance.
You kind of get, relevance, a priority. I like that. That's awesome. Okay. So, you got to make sure that you're setting it up fundamentally. And that's a duh, right? Because if you're not putting those search terms in there, what are they searching for? What are they finding you for? So, but
it is and it isn't. It's like not because people get creative, especially entrepreneurs. We're highly creative, right?
I have named some dumb businesses and bands in my day that I was not going to compete with the marketing budget that I had on some of the terms,
And people will, have ideas that seem bright without understanding the fundamentals of how Google works.
Right.
So I think really doing it the right way is, if it's not your career, let someone else do it.
Well said. We say that a lot on this show. Hire experts and let them do their work.
Well, I think about it like stocks. During the pandemic, people were bragging. They're like, oh, I made 50% on this stock. I made 80% on this stock. But in actuality, active trading leads to the hugest loss in wealth. And putting your money with a fund manager, a fiduciary who's responsible for bringing you gains, is the best way to gain wealth. And it's the exact same concept with Google Ads. It's a complex environment.
I'm so glad that you worded it that way, because I think that is a vein that our audience will understand completely, the financial side of things. And so when we can make that correlation to the Google Ads, I think it's going to make a little more sense for our people out there. So I'm so glad that you said that. How do you get high returns from ad spend?
Returns on ad spend, the approach is tiered. Okay. So you have your core brand name terms. You have your core services. For example, let's just take, you have a website that's selling phones. Okay. But you also sell chargers, headphones, accessories, car mounts, whatever. But the highest ticket item is likely what's going to give you that margin. Focus on the core business terms first. They will be expensive, because high ticket items is a valuable search term, but focus on those campaigns, bid what you could afford. You can even set like your target CPA, your target cost per acquisition. So if a phone to you, your profit margin's $400. So you probably want to acquire it at less than $100. Then you got to pay shipping. You got to pay your people. You got to pay your taxes. So setting that target CPA, bidding is good. You can eke it up week over week, or every couple of weeks. Maybe you try, can we get more volume if I set the target CPA at 110? Well, what's that difference? What about 90? What's that difference? Volume versus profits. But staying focused on the core business first will lay a foundation for you.
Yeah.
Then take a little bit of your profits from marketing and then invest it to see if there are other profitable products in your roster. You might even change what products you carry based on that profitability with ads.
Yeah, we kind of did a similar thing here at our agency. We ran an ad for a service, but we realized that people aren't really that interested in that service. So we shouldn't even run this ad. We need to run a different ad because people are clicking on it, but we're getting no sales because they're not interested in it. So, something that is kind of a tough pill to swallow, but it's about thinking up the funnel. Yeah.
Not just people who are ready to buy, Right. And so in the middle, not just brand awareness, but in the middle, there's a teaching opportunity to your customers or your future customers. That campaign, a campaign where, if someone is looking to learn about the differences in, the Pixel 7 Pro versus like the iPhone 14, 15, have a 10-minute lesson about it. Get a free consumer report about it. Let them download it and engage with your brand and build trust.
Yeah. And I want to add on something else you said a minute ago about that landing page. A good way to get people to sit there for 30 seconds is a 30-second video. Most of us will invest that much time into anything before we make a decision to bounce. So if you want to increase that sitting time, a video is a great way to do that because they're going to sit there and watch it for as long as that video is. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's so much you can feel from a video versus reading copy.
Right. Like if we were just talking to each other via phone style where we could just hear each other's voices, granted, we could have a conversation and get a podcast done. But being able to see you and see that you light up when I say this or that intrigues your interest, there's a lot of nonverbal clues there, and that also speaks to the power of video. We can talk about that for a second. But yeah, video is a very important factor to use, and especially in your advertising and those landing pages. I'm so glad you said that. They are key. And then while we're talking about websites, there's another thing in the websites that we need to set up called Google Analytics. Is there a way, or can you talk a little bit about how analytics and ads connect?
Oh, it is foundational. It is more important than doing your ads right. You got to get the analytics right. I actually have an ebook called GA4 for marketers. Okay. I'll give it to our listeners for free.
Awesome. I'll put that.
I'll link to it. Yeah, and it's just a simple playbook, a checklist of what your web developer can do to set up those custom goals. Right? Analytics is over. We've moved on to GA4. And GA4 is more flexible, more customizable, but there's also less canned reports. Okay. What we're used to seeing. So you have to set up those custom goals. Okay. So I'll give you the playbook, but
yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, all of digital ads is about data. Yeah. And so we have to feed the ad beast data, and it needs to be clean data. Right. So we're sending back, like, these are the number of purchases made from clicks from ads. But if that goal isn't set up the right way, like let's say your thank you page isn't firing correctly and we're, over counting and sending that data back in, Google's thinking, oh, wow, this is a wild success. I should spend more money on these keywords. Right. So getting that analytics right, even if you don't pay for an ads expert, definitely invest a few $1,000s in paying for an analytics expert and have them walk you through test conversions. Okay. Watch it happen.
Yeah. No, that's great advice right there. I love that. And talking about the new GA4, man, It's something that I really haven't heard a lot about yet. So I'm glad that you're bringing it to the table here, because it's a different beast than Google Analytics. But I think one thing that it really addresses is those vanity metrics that we are so used to seeing throughout the past. It's
I hate them.
I know they do me no good. I don't care that there's 1 million likes on this. I really don't. We got 0 sales from it. It's completely unprofitable.
Yeah, I see a lot of decks floating around from other agencies that say like, oh, we reached like 22 million people with this campaign. And thus we extrapolate that it is good for your business.
Right.
And that it doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
It could be good if it's the right eyeballs.
Right.
Yeah,
But
it could be.
Yeah, you could very easily have just made a bad brand reputation with people who weren't going to buy from your brand anyway. And now they're annoyed that they're seeing your ads because they don't like you in the first place, but you put target audiences.
It's like those Allstate commercials. And then I'm like so over them. I'm like, I'm not going there.
I'm mayhem.
I know. And that's the kind of ad I don't like, which is fear.
Right.
Fear-driven ads. I'm like, just get out of here. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I don't like that either, because I feel like it's manipulative for one. Because, okay, I can play off of your fear all day, but what good did that do you, honestly,
We're already scared. Give people some comfort.
Yeah, let's spread some more joy and happiness. I'm on board with that, 100%.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about is the word algorithm gets thrown out there a lot. Is there an algorithm that comes into play with the Google ads?
There's so many.
Yeah.
All an algorithm really is it's kind of like algebra with multiple variables.
Yep, there's a great explanation. There's an
X and a Y. So half the listeners probably have checked out. They're like, I don't like algebra. But all it is something that will make adjustments based on multiple factors, such as your landing page, your keyword, your bid. That is your bidding algorithm. Right.
I just said all that just to reiterate why that foundation is so important. This is the engine that runs it. The algorithm is how it works. Yeah. And if you do the things it's looking for, when you check the boxes, they like that. Check the boxes for them. Set it up the right way. Do what they're looking to find. That way they use you and put you out there in those search results too. And as well as your ads coming across to the right people.
It's very interesting working in this space because the algorithm can adjust itself and give you benefits, and you can see the benefits increasing even over the course of a year.
Wow.
So it doesn't move. It's not like a light switch.
Right. Yeah, I know. And I think that's one thing when it comes to ad spend that a lot of people are apprehensive about. It's that I don't know what I'm spending my money on. If they don't know ads, they don't know what they're doing, and they feel like, well, how do I do this? And I think that's where we come back to that. Talk to your experts, get you some experts involved, make sure things are set up foundationally the way that they need to be.
Absolutely. And a good agency or freelancer, they're going to give you value from the first call.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look for that. They're like, have you made me, like I told you my budget is X, it's $10,000. So they should come with a plan. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah. How are you going to allocate this so that we get the most return out of it as well?
Yeah. And you can give them a little bit of info, like this is my budget. This is what I want to do. So can you come prepared with some intel?
Exactly. So you had something that I really found fascinating because it makes perfect sense to me, but I hadn't really thought about Google Ad Campaign in this sense. But you said something of think of it more as a program rather than a switch that you turn on and off. And so can you just talk about that a little bit more? Like, elaborate, please.
Sure. So Google Ads, as with all software-driven ads, it's a living thing like your garden.
Okay.
You have to trim back branches that are not bearing fruit. so that more energy can go to the fruit-bearing areas. You have to pull weeds. Those are your negative keywords, right? You got to make sure irrelevant terms are not like costing you much money. And that kind of work takes dedication. You see that one dandelion growing in your backyard and you let it go for a week, then what happens? It takes dedication and time. It is non-binary. So, and also non-linear. I don't know if this is getting like too in the weeds, but
no, you're fine.
Google behavior is not, it's a non-linear program. So you're not like, if I give you $10, you give me 100, which means if I give you $20, you give me 200. That is not necessarily true.
Right.
We're working with a dynamic auction where millions of advertisers are bidding for a spot. Competitors come and go all the time. Market conditions change all the time. So it's definitely something where like paying attention to it at least weekly for an hour, looking at all of your stats, making sure your profitability is there is definitely worth it.
Yeah. So there we have it again. You don't know this, but that statement, knowing where you're at, has been said so many times on this show. And I just want to reiterate again, you got to know your numbers financially, as far as your analytics are concerned, what kind of people are looking at your stuff, what kind of people are clicking on it, all of that. You've got to know those numbers.
Yeah. And it's a business owner's responsibility to ask. But it's a marketer's responsibility to show them the correct numbers and not assume that a margin equals profits.
Ooh, that's good stuff. Yeah.
So sometimes marketers are quite junior. They're like, oh, well, I sold you this phone. You made $400 off of it. So that equals profit. Like, no, you don't know about taxes. You don't know about shipping, returns, broken inventory. You don't know those numbers. So the business owner needs to bring to the table, this is the profit per unit. So you need to work within that. Give me a 5-to-1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, great advice right there. So how can business to business advertisers really hone into the Google ads and really see that money crank out?
I love that you brought that up. B2B is hard.
Yeah.
B2B has a long sales cycle. So I'm in media. We're in media, right? So media is actually a shorter B2B cycle, usually 30 days.
Somewhere in there, I'd say.
Yeah, because when they're ready to buy, they'll evaluate a few different partners and then they need to get going.
Yeah, usually by the time they're contacting you, they're ready to start yesterday. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's much shorter. But yeah, your bigger ticket items or, I'm just thinking of some industries that we work with. You got to educate those people on why they need to buy your product. Yeah.
Absolutely. So a longer sales cycle, let's say, for instance, you are a logistics company and you offer, solar energy and backup batteries for large scale operations like commercial construction. How many people are in market right now for that?
Oh, I don't know of any, honestly. I could probably find some if I made a few phone calls, but I don't know of any off the top of my head.
Chances are in B2B, and this is backed by a LinkedIn study from their research institute, 98% of customers are not currently in market to buy.
Wow.
98%. So 98% of your future customers, they don't want to talk to you today.
Yeah.
But do they know that you exist?
Right. Have you made that brand awareness? Have you put out there that you are here, and are you a beacon on a hill?
Exactly. I love the beacon on a hill analogy, but have you given them any value?
Right.
Your ads should be giving them some sort of value. So let's go back to the middle of that funnel. You don't have to, if you're a sub $100 million business, you're not yet ready to do a giant spray and pray campaign. Right. You need to, be thoughtful, target those decision makers, have them interact with your ad because you're giving them a case study, some sort of video to watch, something that says, hey, we value you and we value your time. Invite them to a webinar.
Yep.
Here's the impact of extreme heat on construction sites. And here's an example of how one of our customers were able to help their crew by having cooling stations using these portable units.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we all have to be thinking about in that business. So might as well teach them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And offering
education
this
is important.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Offering this to your crew means that they're going to come back tomorrow. You have less turnover, more loyalty. Like you're going to see business owners, you're going to see that ROI right away.
Right away. Yeah. I think that also just stems from our general marketing, standard operating procedure is niche down and always be specific, create for the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
You want the end goals first and work backwards from that. How do we get here? And so this has been a great conversation. I've learned a lot about ads today, and you've put some things, you've said them a certain way that's going to help me to talk to clients about Google Ads in the future. So I appreciate that. And
that's so nice of you. That's so kind of you to say. Thank you.
But before we end this and wrap it up, every week we're always asking for that hack, that one thing that really kind of just set everything apart for you. So I'm going to roll this sound effect, and then if we could get your hack.
Hacks! I love it. Our hack today is to get your ads people to give you a one-click solution to asking, what is my return on ad spend?
Mm-hmm.
At any point. It should be on your phone. One click. It should be on your phone. How much did I spend and how much did I get?
I like that a lot. Thank you so much for leaving us with that, because that is great. A one-click thing. And just overall concept in all of your marketing here. Simplifying is better. Don't give so many options. I used to want to give every option, but what I found out is a lot of times on that front end, you kind of need to limit the options before you see what options they want. Because if you start showing them a bunch of stuff that they're not even going to care about, you're kind of wasting your time for one, and you got no ROI on that if they're not interested in it.
And simplification is the hardest thing.
Yes.
It's elegant, so it takes the most work.
Yeah, you're right about that.
You're so humble. I'm sure you're bringing the right stats to your people.
Oh,
I'm
always.
100% confident. Always.
Usually I'll look at them and be like, yeah, I would even go like 10 under this number just to be safe.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why people with integrity belong in this business.
I think there should be a prerequisite. I know that we had ethics classes in college about, design and all of that and doing design work. And I thought it was very important that those existed then, but even more so, it's a crazy world out there, and digitally you can do so much. And if you had ill intentions toward people, you could do a lot of bad, but you could do just as much good with the same tools. That, don't throw away the apple, because eventually it'll be a core. Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our audience? I would like you to let us know where we can reach you.
Yeah, we'll put it in the link to the show.
Okay,
you can reach me on LinkedIn, Sharon Park. There's not too many of us, Sharon Park, and I worked at Google, so you'll know. Please connect with me. Yeah, please connect with me. We put out free tips about marketing all the time.
Awesome. I'll have to log on there and connect with you on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been another great episode of Business Growth Hacks, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Business Growth Hacks Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. To get more marketing tips and tricks, follow Beefy Marketing on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Beefy Marketing. And to take your business to the next level, check out our website at www.beefymarketing.com.